call now. One call, told me you see me later. I ain't really worried about no motherfucking hater. I'm just really stacking cheese, I'm just stacking paper. Kicked up in the field, catch a telling patient. God send it at your time, yeah, song wait. We up, on fleek. Gotta stay on my hustle, gotta keep elevating. Got the rack stacked up, yeah, I'm hella cake. Tell me what you saying, yeah, I get
3, 2, 1. Oh, give it to me, babe. Nah, I'm just playing. Ladies and gentlemen, though, welcome to the People's Choice episode. What am I on now? 5? 6? Yeah, 6. I think episode 6. See, this is what happens when you take a week off of just interviewing and going. I mean, I dropped that short Halloween video, which thank you to everybody who's seen it, because I'm getting a lot of love, man. Like, I can't express how happy this makes me, because this is something that I just really enjoy doing. Like, I love podcasting. As you can see, I'm changing up a little bit, bust out the mic, got the headsets and stuff. I've had these for a while. Just never really used them yet, but the show continues to grow. The audience is growing. So, I got to grow a little bit. And speaking of growth, though, this right here is going to be my first ever time interviewing a author, a writer. So I just want to show everybody that the People's Choice podcast is literally for everybody and anybody, because legit, I don't want people to think that, I only interview guys that are into fitness or sports or, around that. I want to be able to interview anybody from different backgrounds, because I feel everybody has an amazing story. Everybody has an amazing journey. Everybody can gravitate something from that. And my guest here today, Matrell Woods, great guy. I've known him back in high school, and we lost touch a little bit, but I've seen his work. I mean, it's incredible. I got one of his books. I got to continue to read it. It's been hectic with my schedule, but he's an amazing author and writer. A lot of high praises, not just to him, but from a lot of people, from his reviews to the Ahndrian Archives, his website. I mean, this guy is really good. And I hope that you guys can all enjoy the show, get something from it. I do have you guys mailbag questions. Thank you guys for sending those. I always appreciate when my people, my peeps, want to get involved with the show. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Matrell Woods. What is up?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good, man.
Right. What's going on, man?
Shoot, man, nothing much, man. Just, enjoying life, man. The show's taken off very well. I mean, I owe you a lot of credit too, man. Just from you sharing it has gotten more views from different people, from that, writer's world. So I want to thank you for that. And
hey, man, I'm glad.
Oh man, the pleasure's all mine, man. I've been watching you a little bit. I know we went to high school together and kind of, lost touch over time, naturally, but I've been keeping up with you and seeing your work. And I'm just like, man, you'd be good to have on the show. And I want to show people that I'm not just a guy who can interview sports guys. You know what I'm saying? I could also interview people who are passionate about other fields. And this is a great opportunity. So thank you again for joining me.
Absolutely, man. I thought it was awesome when I first saw your podcast. I was like, wow, look at that. Look what, talking to people. And I saw the guests that you had on, and I was like, and it's not just, it's not just the people that everybody talks to or everybody sees. You have some good conversations and stuff like that. I thought that was dope, man.
Thank you, man. High praises on your end too, man. Because I'm telling you, I did a little introduction already for you, but if you want to introduce yourself to the people, or my peeps like to call them.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Matrell Wood. I am an author, screenwriter, and journalist. Currently, I have my own platform that I call the Ahndrian Archives. This is what it looks like.
That is nice, man.
I've been writing for years, I can't even put a, specific time on it. When I was growing up, I used to, love reading and stuff like that. It was mainly I used to get in trouble a lot. I used to do a lot of stupid stuff. And so my options were like read, do homework, or sleep. And you can only do so much homework and you can only sleep so much. So I started reading and, I fell in love with it. Over time, that just developed me like wanting to make my own stories. And through the years, you see a lot of different things, especially when you read a lot. I got bookcases upon bookcases filled with different books of different genres and things like that. And it was just over time, I really started to see like a lot of these stories were really missing something that I wanted to see in them. So I developed my own. That was a big part of what made me develop my own platform. For the Ahndrian Archives, telling a bunch of stories that are all connected in a way. So everything I write is somehow connected. There's a small bridge or a big one that brings it all together, depending on what world it's in. And so that was something that I really fell in love with, and I'm constantly coming up with new things, developing new ideas. And so that's why the tagline for it is "Every life is a story." Because it can literally, the stories could be about anything in any genre in any way.
Bro, that is amazing. It's like its own like universe, but just like branched off from different sections. Story. Like I was looking a little bit into your conversations with Grimm, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then the saying, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but man, those covers, man, like did you do those? Like those are some nice, like they stand out. And I'm just, holy crap.
So what's crazy is, the first time I put out all of these stories that I did all the covers by myself, and they were terrible. I know for certain that I'm not a graphic designer. That's not going to happen for me. It's not in my future. But recently I had, I don't know if you ever heard of Fiverr, but it's this, thing that lets you work with other people and things like that, freelancers. And so I had somebody up there. I had 3 different artists that I had do 5 different covers. One for my series that I do, the one that I continuously update called Haos Academy.
Yes.
I had another person do all 3 of the covers for my Tales of Aevan series, which I'm working on to get out the first one by the end of this month. And then I had another person do A Conversation with Grimm, redo that cover, because that one was probably like that one or the cover for the Shadow on in the Tales of Aevan series were probably the better looking ones. But even still, like I posted it online the first time and had a bunch of people that were just like, it took me 20 minutes to read the title of this because it's stacked weird, and they were like, this is so different, why is it reading like this? And I was just like, I don't know what to do, man. So I had them all redone, and I've had some really good comments on the redo of the covers. A lot of people really loved how the covers look now. The Conversation with Grimm one, a lot of people were telling me that was their favorite now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, even with the stories that I have out, like they're all different. Like, so Haos Academy is like a school sort of action mixed with drama. It's almost, it sounds weird, but it's like I kind of wrote it in a way where it's almost like reading a manga without the pictures. And then you got A Conversation with Grimm, which is very much suspense. It's sort of crime suspense, just them. It's 2 people, no one else in the story, having this conversation, and it's tense. It has the build up, the suspense. I have one person who literally fell in love with the girl who is the Grimm, Eclipse. He's absolutely in love with her. Every time I talk to him, he's like, so when are you going to come up with another story with the Grimm in it? When's she going to be out there? It's really, really fun to hear. And then the Bard I actually took down. It was put up in a novella, but from when I got the covers done, I have a bunch of people asking me for full-length paperbacks of that story in specific and the Tales of Aevan stories. They want to get the entire series in full-length paperback. So I'm reimagining the story and reproducing it to be a full-length novel that I will have hopefully the first one out by the end of this month.
That's awesome, man. What is the thought process when you go through that? Because I know like your creative juices got to be flowing. So when you're trying to connect all of them, like those stories from like I saw the Shadow, then the King, and trying to connect them, but also be very different. So like, how do you go through that, like that thought process?
For me, it's so focusing specifically on the Tales of Aevan, which is the Bard, the Shadow, and the King.
Yeah.
Focusing specifically on those, it was all about creating the storyline first. So what's funny is the Bard is actually the idea first came to me from a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I was playing with some of my homeboys. We were going in, and the main character of the Bard, Magnus Alexander, was an idea that I had for my character, where he was constantly drunk, and when he just loved to sing to people. He was the Bard, but then when he was sober, he could fight, he could whoop ass. So it was just like, all right, this is the fighter side of him, this is the warrior side of him, and that was the whole idea for this Dungeons and Dragons character. And I was like, you know what, this sounds like a cool concept of something that's just like this person who is so severely affected by something. I was like, so I'm going to give it a little bit more story, and I'm going to, expand upon it. And so that's when I came with the Bard. And then it was just, all right, when I was coming up with the plot for that, it was introducing some ideas in it. You know how you watch TV shows and they leave you like cliffhangers and stuff like that, or they like throw something at you, and then you're sitting there the whole time when the show ends like, yo, what? They never came back to that point. Where is that at? And so I was, coming up with stuff when I was coming out with the plot and developing it. And I realized like I'm mentioning things in here because it's on this place different. It's not Earth. It's these two connected worlds that I have. One's Earth, one's this world that they have called Aevan. And that's where everything from the Ahndrian Archives come from, is those two specific places. So these are all in Aevan, whereas the rest of my stories so far are all on Earth. And so I was like, I'm developing a new world. This is high fantasy. It's like Lord of the Rings type stuff. When you come out with it, you have to develop the world. Otherwise, nobody's going to know what's going on around them. And so I was coming up with all this stuff, and I was just like, I haven't explained any of it. Like, I've explained some of it because that works for this. That actually pushes this specific story forward. But these things that I'm mentioning connect to the story entirely. So I decided to, instead of writing one series about the same person, I was like, all right, well, this story is about Magnus. He goes out with Naoma and Elias, which are his two people that are with him. And then it was like, all right, well, the next one is the Shadow. That's one specifically about Elias. Elias has gone off and do his own thing. So now he is with his father, Elijah, and his girl, Ember. And then it was like, all right, well, I'm coming up with a formula here. Like, I can see it. Every time there's the main character and two people with him. So then I came with the King, and it was like, all right, well, this one's about Prince Alarin. Well, who's he with? He's with his brother and sister. And so it was just like coming up with who's going to be there and what points did I mention in this story that connected to this story, and just really running with that.
Oh man, that's great. And like I was saying, it's like a universe, and just from the way you explain it, it's like I could picture it. So you said you're doing some screenwriting too. Has that crossed your mind, like bringing like that world onto like the big screen? Because I mean, I could picture it kind of almost like a Lord of the Rings type, I
appreciate that. Definitely, man. Like, so I want to make this cross as many mediums as I can. Right now, I've got my short story flash fiction book out there, and that one's selling for like $1.99 just as the thing to be there. I've written the novellas, the full length. I'm hoping to do a webtoon. I started promoting one a while back. But the artist that I was working with, he had some personal things that he had to deal with, and I completely understood. So he went on to do that, and that project kind of fell through for now. but I want to do the webtoon. I've been talking to different comic book artists. I'm thinking about doing just small mini series. But definitely, I've been talking with the vice president of the um, the Phoenix Screenwriters Association, something like that. Someone I know connected me with him recently, and just talking with them. I do some myself, they do some. He's done some feature-length film work and things like that. But I definitely want to bring the Ahndrian Archives to as many mediums as possible. And honestly, I want to bring in more people. When I first started, I thought of it as just being me, but I would love to bring in creatives of all kinds of types. I want to bring in short film makers, feature film length makers, poetry writers, other short story writers, artists, all kinds of things, and just create a whole branch of people who are creatives who write under this header of the Ahndrian Archives. Every life is a story. And just have a bunch of different voices, a bunch of different styles and things like that to really tell the stories, to make the world come to life. I had somebody say that the way that I was spitting it to them was something akin to like Marvel and DC comics, it sounded like, where it's like you got all these different people who got powers and different things like that. Yeah. But I was just like, I didn't want the superhero thing. I didn't want to do superheroes. I'm not doing costumes. Somebody has a nickname. It's, I give a reason for the reason why they have that nickname. It's not just, we're not calling you this name just because it sounds cool kind of thing. So I just wanted to bring in as many people as possible. And I want to branch it out as much as possible. Obviously, everything's in the beginning now. So everything takes time. Everything takes to build up, which is perfectly fine. But I'm definitely going to keep pushing for more.
Definitely, man. You got that hunger. I could hear it in your voice, man, and your drive, man. High praises for real. And I hope that the show can definitely, reach many people. I've already had a screenwriter on the show already, so who knows? I got a couple artists I want to interview too. I've talked to, and you inspire. Like I have some like mailbag questions, like so I'll jump into that a little later into the thing, but you inspire, but you're inspiring people, man, from just, your story,
man. Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. Like even when I started doing this podcast, like I was surprised how many people really are into it and just like, man, this is so awesome. You're doing something you love, just keep it going. And that's what keeps me going. Who's that for you? Like your support system that's like, cause it could be a grind when you're going for your, your passion. Cause you start off slow, you got to build your audience, no really money into it just yet, but who's been that support system for you, man?
Wow. I mean, I'll say this for sure. Like it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I'm definitely very lucky as a creative, especially as a Black creative, to my parents being super supportive. My dad, he used to make music. He still does actually, a little bit. But he's always pushed me, for art and writing and stuff like that. He's always been happy to see me do it. My mom, she's businesswoman through and through, but she's always pushing me, saying like she always talking about the plan B, but she's always just like, look, I want you to pursue your dreams. She does as much as she can to help me out and things like that. I never had nobody send me art supplies so much as her. When I used to live in my old place, it was like every week I just got a new package of art supplies. I didn't know where it came from. It was just show up. My stepdad, he's incredible. My stepmom, incredible. Both of them show me so much love and support. But I also have so many other people that really always looked out for me. My buddy Tyler, he's everything I do, he shares it, he likes it, really pushes, it's incredible. Like, it seems like such a small thing just to hit that share button, just hit the like button whenever I post something. But I don't have many people on my platform yet. And so every time he does it, it's awesome. I remember wholeheartedly, I have a bunch of other people that, just send me things like, I hope you do well, things like that. But that one really sticks out because every post. He hit share. He's always doing it, and it's huge for me because that really it's one of those things where it kind of just keeps you moving, where it's just like one person is looking, and as long as that one person has their eyes on you, you can't stop running. Yep. You know. But other than that, man, as far as people that I don't know, a big person that I wouldn't even say I don't know this person. I do know this person. Me and him used to be good friends, but we don't talk a lot anymore. He is far beyond excelled the level that I'm at. But I don't know if you remember, he went to high school with us, Siobhan Carter.
I think so. Yeah, I think I remember him.
Yeah, and me and him used to be really good friends, but I haven't talked to him a whole lot lately. But he has developed a huge platform, and he lived in Fayetteville with us. You know, me and him, like I said, me and him were close. We hung out in the same circles, both Black creators, both did a lot of the same things. And it definitely shows me like I'm not dreaming too large. You know, I can build a following. I can push myself beyond what I'm doing now. As long as I stick to it, I keep going at it, I really put my all into it, I work hard, I keep learning and different things like that. It was definitely one of those things that showed me like, yeah, I can keep doing this if I keep pushing, if I keep moving. And so that was a huge thing for me to watch his platform grow, you know, from where he had it and the videos that he was making. You know, some of them that I was even, you know, around for while he was doing it, to how big he is blown up now after he went viral, and it was just like, it was dope to see. So it was one of those things that definitely showed you just like, yo, you're not dreaming beyond your limits. You were pushing them. So keep pushing them. And so that was a big thing for me. Huge part of me being able to dedicate myself right now to really going and putting out these new books, and developing the platform, trying to get everything moving in a different way so that more people can see it, because I want people to look at me similar to the way that they look at the other people around me. You know, I love seeing that. I love seeing these people succeed, and so I want to succeed right alongside them.
Definitely, man. And shout out to him for definitely going viral and pushing, especially coming from, you know, where we come from, and Fayetteville,
absolutely,
because even though Fayetteville, yeah, I know, right? Because even though Fayetteville is, man, yeah, you know, but we really got some dope people out here that's really out here trying and grinding, and you know, I'm an example of that. You are as well.
Oh man, there's so many crazy Black creatives, different creatives, people of color, even white creatives, and people of any race really out in Fayetteville. Like, it's some crazy artists out there that I think a lot of people just overlook, because, you know, it's like they already got certain people from different places in, you know, North Carolina or different places in Fayetteville. But I mean, like, yo, you know, we went to high school with Kilo.
Yep.
His raps are crazy. Like, I don't care what nobody says. The man is lyrical, and it's like, yo, more people need to be paying attention to that. Definitely. You got all types of, you know, artists that draw. My homegirl Lauren, I think you remember her. Lauren, yep. She was drawing. My homegirl LJ. Like, you got so many people out in Fayetteville who just do awesome stuff. One of my homegirls, Amani, like, her art is crazy. It's surreal looking at some of the art that she does. And it's just like, I wish more people saw that. Like, I wish she could get popular for what she does, because I think it's so cool seeing the kind of stuff that comes out of Fayetteville. And it's just like, people really aren't, like, I see some of the stuff that people are looking at. This is dope. Like, I wish you would look at this. I wish that for a lot of people, man. But, you know, people do the things, and they do the things they love. And as long as, you know, I see people enjoying it, man, I'm super happy about it.
Definitely, man. And shout out to you too, back at Fayetteville, back when we were at Pond Forest, man. If it wasn't for you, I don't know how I would have got through the AFM class, man, because there was a lot of time. I remember, you would just be, you know, having your head down and, you know, just writing or taking notes, and I'd be like looking over like, hey, bro, you know how to do this? He'd be like, yeah, I got you, man. So I definitely want to give you credit for that. So when did you? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I know you go. Just say, look, man, you try to do what you can, man.
Oh man, Mr. Dorman. Shout out to you if you see this, man. You're a great guy. Sometimes, damn them work packets they used to get us, and I'd be like, but you helped me out big time, man. When did you make the move from Fayetteville to now you're in Arizona, right?
Yeah, man. I was all the way in Fayetteville until earlier this year, actually. I had different places, like, I had different roommates and different places that I stayed in. I had a house at one point that I was staying with a couple roommates. Then I moved out, went to another apartment, went to another apartment after that. Just trying to find my space. Eventually, I felt like I was not moving the way I needed to. I was writing, like I was working on the same book for like 4 or 5 years. And that was a big part of it. It was just like, I did not feel like my writing was moving. I did not feel like I was pushing myself the way that I could. And so my mom and my stepdad came out here to Arizona, and they were telling me how much they loved it. And they were just telling me it was different. And, she made me an offer. She was just like, look, while you're in school, and when, if you ever feel like getting out of Fayetteville, she was like, you can come out here to Arizona, and we'll help you out. Just to get get your feet on the ground and whatnot, since I just moved across the country. So I was like, you know what, like, I'll take a change of scenery. Decided to really just do something different, get out of my comfort zone, really start pushing myself out here. And I mean, it's been incredible, to say the least. Like, I just moved out here in April. The sheer amount of focus I think that it has given me to be away from everything that I knew is huge, but also just the opportunities that have arise from random things that I've done. I went out to go get food, and I ran into a woman who used to work for one of the biggest newspapers out here before she retired. She connected me with her old editor, who gave me a bunch of advice to do freelance writing out here. And that was literally just like, I just happened to go out to go get some, I think it was like some Mexican food or something like that. Like, I just went out there to go get food random. I didn't even know where the spot was. I was just scrolling down Google, and I was like, this place looks all right. And, and just happened to run into this woman, just happened to be the person right behind her in line, The dude I was talking about with the Phoenix Screenwriters Association, he just happens to be a friend of a friend. And she was like, yeah, I'll connect you with this guy. And I was like, all right, well, he's a screenwriter, and that'd be dope to talk to him. And I mean, I wish you could hear this dude speak. Like, he so cool, so easy to talk to and connect with, but so intelligent. And his story was awesome. And I didn't even know, his position for this, but he was just so great to talk to and just so motivating. And it was just really great opportunities that presented itself when I came out here that I want to keep. It's hard to think of the word sometimes, that I want to keep just taking on and just keep using to the best of my abilities. Like, I'll take advantage of every opportunity that I get. And that's just 100 on that. Like, I love being presented these opportunities because I know that I'm not going to pass them up.
Definitely, man. And that's a great life lesson for all my viewers. Sometimes you do need that spark, that kick in the ass, to really, get your stuff going. Sometimes a change of scenery, and even just being nice and polite to people, you never know how many doors it may open. Like you said, you're going just literally for food, and then you got hooked up with screenwriters and awesome opportunities for your stories. I mean, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was the most bizarre thing. Like, I was on my way back, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, yo, did that really just happen? Like, I was like this is, it's just crazy, because it's like, she just turned around to me and she just happened to say something, and I was just like, yeah. And then I don't know why it popped in her mind. She was like, what do you do? Like, she was like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm a writer, man. And she was like, oh, no way. And I was like, what? I was like, what is happening right now? It was just the craziest thing. She gave like she got her food before me and she like went off to the other side of the restaurant, but before she did, she like turned around and she was like, come find me before you leave. And I was like, okay. She gave me her card and I ended up video chatting with this lady. She was the editor for, what is the name? I'm still not used to all the newspapers out here. It's like the Phoenix something. But she was the editor there. And she started video chatting with her and she was just like, yeah, she told me that you were a writer. She told me that you did some journalism and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but this is crazy. Like, that I did not expect. I think it was like 3 months after I moved here. It was just like, I did not expect to just jump in and meet people randomly like this. Even with I do some writing for a publication called The Artist Alive magazine. Really incredible publication, really dope publication that covers a lot of like unknown artists and things like that. Some known ones, some more unknown ones. She's really given I never know if I'm saying it right. I know her first name's Cindy. I think her last name's like Mish or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. I'm horrible with that.
She'll find me in the comment section somewhere, probably.
Yeah, but she is awesome. She really connects with people and branches out people. She really cares for her writers. I was going through a really rough time recently. That's a whole other thing. And she was really, really understanding and helpful with that. But this publication that she has been really dope. I've connected with creatives all around the world. A filmmaker a filmmaker and an author in Europe. I've talked to both of them. There's so many all over the place. There was a guy, he runs like a jazz store and a music festival in, wow, totally drawing a blank on the state that he was in. I can't remember at the moment. But he does that, and just people all over that I got to speak with and meet with and talk to. It was awesome to hear so many, it's awesome to hear so many stories and things like that. The artistalivemagazine.com, you can check it out. It's a small little subscription for it, to read the magazine, but it's well worth it, man. The articles in there are great. There's some awesome writers that she has on that magazine, and that one itself, that was a crazy, weird opportunity. It was the first magazine publication I've ever wrote for. And what's crazy is this started on Facebook posts. She posted on Facebook, and one of these, this is one of these Facebook posts. It was just a random writer group that I joined. She's like, I'm starting this, I'm starting this magazine. She's already super established and, doing news and publications, magazines and things like that. She's super established in that world, but she was like, I'm starting my own. She was just like, I'm looking for writers and stuff like that. And I've never done this before, but I was just like, I'm scrolling down, those posts that you see and you just like, yeah, whatever. You scroll past it. I went past it, stopped and said, why not? What do I have to lose? Mm-hmm. It's one of the greatest experiences that I ever have been given. Just the fact that I stopped and responded to that post. Cindy gave me a chance. And since then I've loved this more than I expected. Because normally I like writing fiction, but talking to people and learning their stories. I got to do a review for a film called Whistleblower. It was like a real life documentary type thing on people in New York who have blown the whistle on different things like that, and they've received backlash for it. It was one of the realest things that I have ever done. Super surreal experience. And talking with the woman that made the film, she was a whistleblower. One of her story was one of the biggest parts of that film. And it was beyond surreal, like going outside of myself for that. So definitely, like, to anybody listening and watching, just keep yourself open for opportunities, especially as a creative, because it can be so difficult for the industries that we go into. Keep yourself open to all opportunities, like, because if you don't, you're gonna miss out on something that's probably incredible. And obviously, don't let nobody take advantage of you. Your art is yours, is part of you. Don't ever let nobody take advantage of you. But definitely keep your eyes open for opportunities that can help you grow. Because I mean, some of them are the most incredible joints that you'll ever be part of.
Amen, man. And I know you touched on, you love writing fiction, like science fiction and stuff. Have you branched out to other types of writing, or are you just sticking more towards the science fiction because that's where your creative juices are just flowing really good through there?
I think primarily a lot of them definitely float around science fiction and fantasy. I've done a little bit of high fantasy. The Tales of Aevan series would be considered high fantasy. I'm actually trying to learn how to write some horror right now, which I know is hilarious because like the only Black person that do horror in this day and age seems to be Jordan Peele. But
shout out to Jordan.
But like no, man, that's a Black creative for us all. But no, I'm trying to really learn different genres because right now it is just me. And I do, like I said, I want to branch out and do a lot of different things for the Ahndrian Archives. I want different stories. I want different genres. I want different ways to tell each story. Funny enough, so this was actually something that I had to do for a class project. I just wrote a children's book.
What? Look at you.
Yeah. I just wrote a children's book. I'm not going to open it up because I also have to do some illustrations and they're terrible. Absolutely horrible. We're not going. But yeah, so.
Hey, man, just starting off there and branching off. I mean, that's great. I actually have a good buddy of mine. That's where, because he was writing for a while and he just felt like he was just not really getting anywhere. So his mom actually, she was a writer as well, but she mostly focused on children's book. Sadly, she ended up passing, and he kind of just took over her story, and that story just popped. So now all he does is write children's books. I mean, it's incredible, man. So, I'm glad that you're branching off to that. I know it's for, a project right now for school, but hey, man, I think and also you're super funny too, man. I think you could write some comedy, man, too, as well. Are you also still in music too? Are you still heavy involved with music?
So let's touch on a couple things. One, respect to your homeboy, for real. Rest in peace to his mom. I feel for that, man.
Definitely.
But I think that's awesome that he didn't quit when he felt like he was behind, because I think that's a huge thing that almost got me, where it's just like I didn't feel like I was moving. I wasn't getting any followers. I wasn't writing as much, and that's a big thing to pull yourself up and just say, but I'm gonna keep going. So that's a huge thing. Respect to him, man.
Yes.
The music thing, no, actually, I have not worked on music in a long time. I do miss rapping sometimes, man. I sit around here every once in a while, and I just be in my room, just going at it with different music and songs and stuff like that, singing and stuff like that. I miss it definitely, but at the same time, I know that that's not where I'm trying to be specifically, right now. That's not what I want my focus on. If I was going to make music, it would be more as a hobby in my spare time.
That's actually one of the mailbag questions, so I guess you might have answered it already. But I'll bring it back.
Hey, look, when I say we get back to it, throw it back. We'll talk about it. But no, man, music is great, and music will always be a huge part of me. When I'm writing, different songs can really help me write different vibes in a story and really help me pick up different parts of a story and things like that. So music is huge for me. So if I did ever go back to it, I know I will love it, but definitely right now it's not what I'm focused on. And then touch on the funny thing. I'm gonna need you to say that a little bit louder for the people in the back, because I got a whole lot of people trying to tell me I'm not funny. And I just want to make sure that they all heard it right here today that I got jokes.
The People's Choice himself, Alvin Peoples, definitely endorse. You are funny as hell. I remember you used to have me cramping back in AFM class, man. And even just talking with you right now, man, you got like, a great positive spirit with you. Sense of humor is off the roof, man. I'm telling you, I can't wait. I know you're gonna eventually make a comedy. Like, I can tell. Like, I'm gonna be first in line to get it. So you heard it first.
Yeah,
This is legit endorsed by the People's Choice himself. Check out my boy. That's Matrell Woods for you.
That, man. Yo, you know what's crazy is like, so I used to when we was going around in high school, I had this one crazy moment. I cannot remember the name of the teacher whatsoever. Miss Slider, if you watch this, it was the teacher that was right across from you. I cannot remember her name. Oh, but I was walking in the hallway one day and I was just chilling. I don't even remember what I was doing. And she just came over and she stopped me. She was like, what's your name? I was like, Matrell. She said, I just want to tell you, I see you walking down this hallway all the time and you just have this big old smile on your face and all the people around you seem to be smiling when they talk to you and this, that, and the third. And I was just like, really? Because like I hate being here. Like it was like I couldn't even lie. I was like after the show, I was like, wow, thank you. I was like, that's weird because like I never feel that way. I was like, I'm always just like, I want to go home. And she was just like, no. She said she noticed it and she just thought it was really awesome. And that was one of the most incredible things that stuck with me too, because I had never had somebody compliment me so genuinely. So I thought that was really cool that she just said that to me. But it was just funny for me because from that day on, I was like, I always looked for like the people who were just like watching me be stupid. like it was just like, if I was walking down the hall just smiling like that, it was probably just because I was like, if I do this, then the day will go by faster. So it was just like people who just watch me do weird, random stuff. And I've had a lot of people tell me it's just like, yeah, they love seeing me do certain things. And I'm just like, I need you to understand that when my mind was blank when I was doing that. Like, I wasn't thinking of anything. It wasn't a profound moment. Like a lot of people think that certain things that I do, they're like, oh, that was so smart. And it was just like, I didn't mean to do it. So it's funny because hearing you just say like, oh man, you're hilarious, you're funny. Where it's just like, most of the people I talk to, they're just like, dude, you're not funny. Your jokes are corny. And I'm just like, they're corny, but you laughed. That's all that matters to me. You know?
Exactly.
So,
Hey, I think me and I don't know if you remember Brian, back from there, like we could definitely attest to that. You were funny. He said, "All hell, man." So you see, say he's ranking for school. How are you still going to Fall Sail?
Yeah, so I'm still a student at Full Sail University.
Or Full
I'm
Sail.
doing their
Yeah, my bad.
You're good, man. I'm doing this accelerated online program. Right now, I believe I'm technically in my junior year. I should be graduating about early to mid next year.
Awesome, man.
Really incredible experience. The school, like all the professors are professionals, industry professionals. They all have, I believe, master's degrees or higher in their program areas that they teach. And I think the biggest thing for me, I dropped out of Methodist. I went to Methodist University straight out of high school. And I dropped out of there after my first year, and just was doing me for a long time after that. But a lot of it was just the same as high school, man. Just taking in information, regurgitating it. I hated that. I hated that so much because a lot of it, I already knew. Sometimes with the way I speak, people look at me like, oh yeah, he's intelligent. Sometimes, obviously, around certain people who already have their preconceived notions, they don't think as much or whatever. Mm-hmm. But a lot of stuff I already knew, and so it was like feeling like people were like slowing down or dumbing down for me. It was really just, I hated it. And so when I dropped out of there, I didn't know if I was going to go back to school. I kept telling my mom, I was like, yeah, I plan on going back. I'm only going to take a small break. But honestly, I didn't know until finally I found Full Sail. And the biggest thing for me with Full Sail was looking at how they structured the program. You know, you still had some of the basic things. You know, I took a math class, I took a history class. I took a science class already. I don't think I have any more general studies classes. I hope not. That math class was rough. But no, it was, I mean, it's cool because everything they teach you, even the math, the science and stuff like that, they teach it all in a way of utilizing it. It's not just, let's give you some information, regurgitate it back to us. They make us use it. So here, I can show you a couple joints that I did. So I showed you like the children's book that I did. I did this joint. Where is it at? Yeah, there we go. So I did this joint right here. This was the short story book that I did.
Oh yeah.
World of the Ahndri. I print. Oh, you know what was funny? So I have my other joints right here. I print all my covers that I did just so I can remember them. Speaking back, this was the one that I did for the shadow before I changed it. These are the ones that I made.
Okay.
That was the shadow. This was the one for a conversation with Grimm that everybody said that they had such a difficult time reading, which to be fair, I kind of understand why. And then this was the terrible one I did for the Bard. And Haos Academy, man. Yeah, that was interesting times.
The Haos Academy one is fire though. I like that one.
Oh man, that story is actually 100% my favorite that I've done so far. Haos Academy is huge for me because, like I said, it is a continuous series that to me is shows one of the biggest parts of what the Ahndrian Archives is all about. I'll definitely get into that a little bit more later, but I did just find this. So this was a huge thing that I did for one of my classes. This was, they call it a story Bible, man. And it's crazy because before, I never known something like this existed. And it's just like, this was what helped me build like the world, all the pieces, the characters, locations for the worlds that I was building, where the story was going and different things like that, organizations. It was a huge thing that I learned in one of my classes. And that's what every class was all about, was just like, here's the skill. We're going to teach it to you. We're going to grind it into your head by making you practice it. And then we're going to tell you how you're utilizing that for the rest of your career. And that's really what they do. Like, I mean, everything that I don't think there's a single thing that I've learned in any of these classes that I wouldn't still be able to use. Except for things that I'm not going to do. Because the children's book thing, I'm not doing that again. That's not for me. I wrote, I'm in that class right now. I still got to do a middle grade adaptation for the story that I'm doing, and then a young adult one. And I was just like, I was sitting there writing that children's book, and I was like, my writing is not for people this young. I was like, it's definitely not, because I was struggling. I was about to be like, yo, like this little wolf is about to rip somebody's throat out. I was like.
Or you could do like a little play off of like children's, like, because you got the conversation with Graham, maybe the conversation with at recess or something, Like,
look, and I was thinking it was funny because like she showed us video. She's like, it was like the horror for children, and it was like, we show children scary images all the time, and I was like, yeah, we do, but like if I write it, it's gonna be gruesome. I was like, and I don't even write a bunch of stuff that's gruesome or bloody or anything like that, but it was just like, I feel like because I'm being forced to write for these little children, I want to just like terrify them. And I was like, that's a terrible thought process to have. Like, I've got nieces, nephews, a little brother, a little sister, a godson, and I was like, that's a terrible thought process to have.
Oh man, at least you're thinking about the kids, man.
But no, man, it's hilarious. But yeah, the school is definitely awesome. Going back was a huge decision for me. I'm actually going to be staying through all the way for my master's. The accelerator program is like another year and a half. and I'll be getting my master's for creative writing for entertainment. I'll be learning video game writing. And this is just for the rest of this year, actually. For the rest of this school year for my bachelor's, I still have television writing, video game writing. I think I still have a feature-length film writing class to do, writing for horror, just in different genres and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible, man, getting to learn these things. I never expected that going back to school would do that for me, because I was just expecting, like, I was just going to be sitting in class just getting a degree I didn't really care about because I needed a job that I wasn't going to care about, you know? So
it's crazy how life can just do a whole, 180 or 360, however you want to say it. Man, that's awesome.
Man, I used to want to be an engineer.
Me too. I did too. But I wanted to be an engineer for the wrong reasons. Like, because I knew that it was a good paying job. Where I'm like,
exactly.
Well, I'm like, well, at least even if I'm doing something that I don't love, like most people at their jobs, at least I'm getting paid good. That was my thought process, being like going to be an engineer. But then I was like, you know what, life is too short. Like, we lost way too many people at a young age, and I'm just like, you know what, I got to go for something I truly love doing. And mine's is right here, podcasting, talking to people, getting their story out there, and hopefully bridging these or creating these bridges to hopefully connect with this person, because everyone has an amazing story, an amazing journey. Like, it's not this pretty stuff that you see either on the internet or on TV. Like, some people really had to grind and sacrifice, but I want to be able to touch on that so people can see, like, hey, he did it, I can too, or she did it, I can too. So, and you definitely embody that, from the stories you were telling me, from, moving around and, starting off to then just going to get some food and meeting the right people, so like it's crazy how life can change, just gotta keep grinding.
And I think your goal is awesome. Like, I think connecting is a huge part of what, especially, creatives, and I say creatives instead of just saying artists, because when I say creative, I think artists, I think musicians, I think writers, people who write poetry, you doing this podcast. There's a dude out in Arizona. He's actually super popular. He does the Boss Talk podcast, and usually it's just him walking around, with his camera and his cameraman and just talking to people. It's being a creative is so much more than just having some kind of tangible artwork or piece out there for somebody, or music to listen to. And so that's why I always say creative. And I think connecting is a huge part of what makes creatives so much more engaging than a lot of other areas. Because, so I just finished working at a car wash. And what's crazy is they embody this mindset, I think, more than any other place that I've worked at, where it is getting to know the people in different areas not only helps you build as a person, but it helps push them to do better, because they want to, both of you want to look good, both of you want to build. And so connecting with these other people, it's the same thing with creatives, seeing, doing this and seeing you do this is just like, it's like, yeah, man, like, not only do I want to see him build, but because he's doing this, I want to build. Because if even one person, didn't know who I was before and they started watching me now, I want them to see me succeed. I don't want them to see me quit. I don't want them to see me drop and then be like, yeah, I saw him on the podcast, I thought he was really dope, but now he's not doing nothing. I don't want that. I would never want that. Definitely. So connecting is such a huge part, I think, of what pushes creatives and what really makes creatives be their best selves and put out their best work. And so I think what you're doing is awesome. Like I said, from the moment I saw it, I was like, this is the coolest thing. When you asked me to be on the show, I was super excited. I told everybody I know. I was like, yo, I'm about to be on this podcast. I was like, this is so cool.
I appreciate that,
man. Yeah, man. I think it's so dope. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna keep sharing it for sure.
Same, and I'm
I
gonna
think
follow your
creatives.
journey too, man, because you got me hooked, man. I guess I'm trying. I'm gonna finish up the conversation with Graham. I got to get that book, the one that you just showed. That it's like a $1.99. I want to.
Oh yeah.
After I finish the conversation with Graham, I'm gonna go get that. And all my viewers definitely support my bro because he's
I
going
appreciate
places,
that.
man. You want to tackle these mailbag questions real quick?
Sure, man. Let's get into it. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I didn't think anybody would ask anything. So,
Well, I got like 5 from Kiki Jones. She actually used to go to Pine Forest for a little bit, but she's an inspiring writer as well, author. So
word.
she got a lot of questions. So I'll start off with one of her first one. She said, "Did you ever overthink when you wrote your book?"
Absolutely, all the time. Overthinking. I think overthinking is going to be a huge part of writers. I swear, all writers have like some kind of natural anxiety. Um, you're gonna overthink it. You're going to overplan. You're gonna overwrite. Here's the thing: write it. It sounds stupid. It sounds super simple, but until you write it, no matter how good or bad it is, you don't have anything until you write it. Shoot, I can even show you what I do. So this is my first full-length novel that I wrote. The manuscript for it. I spent years writing this, and this is still all the notes that I did last month. Or 2 months ago that I did. These are still all the edits and notes that I have to do. You're going to be editing your work. A big thing that I think that a lot of writers forget, and I wish that I could find this book, but it is a book called Writing is Rewriting. Absolutely recommend picking it up. Big part of what you're going to do as a writer is edit, rewrite, change. Just when you're overthinking it, just put it on the paper, man. Like it's a huge thing to just get the words out, because at the end of the day, if, like I said, if you don't write it, you have nothing. You have nothing to show anybody, whether it's good or bad. Writing something out, I had a teacher tell me everybody's first draft is terrible. He said nobody writes a good first draft, and I was just like, just get it down there, get it on the paper. You can always edit it later. You don't have to put it out until you're ready. But I 100% guarantee you that overthinking you're doing, once you get it down, once you write it, you're going to realize so much of just like what you can do to make it better, what you can do to improve, what you need to add, what you need to take away. You're going to realize those things as you're, reading it, because you're telling the story that you want to tell, and nobody can take that away from you. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that you really want to pay attention to is make sure your grammar is good and make sure your spelling's right, because at the end of the day, you're telling the story you want to tell. So tell it how you want to tell it.
Awesome, man. That's some great advice. This one comes from Joy. She says, "What do you like to do on your downtime when you're not writing?"
Video games. Not even going. Video games, anime, procedural crime dramas. I've seen almost all of them. And books. Like I'm currently reading this joint right here, Ink Exchange by Melissa Marr. And I'll literally, if you look on my Instagram, I'll just go outside, make a cup of tea. Wow, that sounded super lame. But
catch me on my Instagram making a cup of tea.
Yeah, but I'll make a cup of tea. I'll grab my book. I'll sit outside, man. It's great. I'll make I just bought some new tea, some lemon ginger, some apple spice one. Oh man, love tea. Hey. But yeah, I play a ton of video games. Watch anime. I'll watch procedural crime dramas, other shows. I just finished the Vampire Diaries. I'm halfway through the originals.
I heard that's good. I heard the Vampire Diaries is good.
I will say this: it's full of melodrama. It was rough to get through after a certain point.
What video games my viewers could catch you at? Are you playing on PC or Xbox, PlayStation?
PC and PlayStation mostly. Play a lot of League of Legends. Call of Duty. Every once in a while, I usually pick up 2K. But no, I mean, Valorant, Rogue Company is another one that I'm getting into now. Yeah, I mean, anybody feels like, catching me, I got a Discord server, we can always get it.
Definitely. What's your gamer tag or game? What they call that here? I'm an Xbox guy, so it's gamer tag for me.
Hey, I mean, it's almost always iJinx or iJinx Gaming, IJINXX, and then it's either that or iJinx Gaming. Even you see my Instagram, they call me Jinx. So, but yeah, man, gaming's a huge part for me. Ever since I was little, it's super stress relieving. Started out with me playing like Sonic and Mario on the Super Nintendo and the Sega. But gaming's always been a huge stress reliever for me. Anytime I'm like heated, even if I'm getting heated at the video game, it's another video game that usually I need, or I'll, turn on an anime, read a manga or something, or watch Gibbs shoot somebody on NCIS. So, I mean, it's big for me to have those outlets because they're also the same things that inspire me to write stories. So I think that's a big part for me, is that my hobbies still tie back into what I do. I will say this: after going to Full Sail, it's very hard for me to watch certain TV shows and movies. They've taught me how to break down and analyze stories from all TV shows, feature-length films, movies, like books and magazine articles and all types of stuff. And so now, like, one of my buddies, he hates when I watch shows that he watches because I tear it apart. That show's bad. I just I start pointing things out, and I'm just like, I can enjoy watching the show, but like, it's still bad. He hates it. He absolutely hates it. I can't help it. Like the school has taught me to just like identify this about the character and this about why they use this prop or this scene or this camera angle, and it's just like I see it all now, and it's weird because a show is not just a show anymore. Every one of them is like a project.
I went through that. I mean, I touched on that a little bit with Coach Russell Stone on episode 1, where I was like, I drive my family crazy. Like they said, they missed the days when we could watch a football game. Yeah, because I'm breaking. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a run, that's a wrap, that's a trap. Oh, just look at that stance. Oh, I can definitely tell it's play action. Like they're like, God, can we just watch the damn game? So I know what your friend and what you're going through. It's rough, but when you love it, man, it's like, hey,
yeah, man, it's like you notice these things when you've paid attention to it, when it's become a part of you. So it's just like sitting there and you're noticing these things, and you're just like, I see it, and I get that you don't see it, but I see it. And I just want to tell somebody, because like if I don't, I'm the only one that knows.
Exactly. This one comes from Kiki again. She said, how did you find a publisher?
I don't have one. I'm still working on, for my full-length novel, I'm still working on, so getting agents is the process. Basically, if you send an unsolicited manuscript to most publishers, they won't read it. They will probably just throw it in the trash, or it'll sit in a slot pile for forever, and nobody will ever get to it. And it's not anything that they have like against you or whatever. They're super busy. Writing's a big profession. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people are doing it. So agents are usually how you want to go about it. You essentially develop what's called a query letter, and you start trying to get different agents. You make sure you research them, see what they want, see what they like, see how to develop a relationship with them. You send them the query letter, and hopefully one of these agents says, I'm interested in your manuscript, send me more. And that's a big part of getting a publisher, because publishers are 100% more likely to read a manuscript from an agent, because when you write, we all know as a creative that we're like, I think my work's terrible, but it's as best as I'm going to get it. But basically, to a publisher, is when you send it, is you saying, my work is good enough to be published. Can you publish it? the reason why they like agents is because an agent is someone else other than the person who wrote the work saying, this work is actually worth reading. Please take a look at it. So it helps them not have to read so many unprofessional, unedited manuscripts and things like that. They only really want to read stuff from people who they can tell really have everything into it and wrote well enough that it's not wasting their time, because there's only so much time in a day for them to be reading, stuff like that. It takes some time to read a full manuscript because, reading a full-length novel. Mm-hmm. So they can't read all of them. So they really focus on the ones that are endorsed. So when you're finished writing that novel, and I 100% say, write it, don't stop yourself, just go. When you're finished writing that novel, edit it, go back over, make sure, it's to your liking, and then start looking for agents. You can literally just type into Google, literary agents. Publishers Marketplace is a huge place for you to look. There's a bunch of agents on there, and just really try and find agents that fit your style, that fit the kind of message you want. There are agents, who are looking for emerging authors, and there are agents that are looking for marginalized authors and people of color and things like that. All-inclusive stories, with LGBTQI plus communities and stuff like that. Agents, there's all kinds of agents, and you're going to receive a lot of rejections. I've gotten about 6 or 7, so I'm super early in my rejections. You're going to receive a lot of them, and it doesn't mean your work's bad. It just means that they're just not looking to work with you. But somebody will, Oh, yeah. So that's going to be a big part. Just keep going, keep at it. A huge part of this industry is just to keep at it. Awesome.
You actually answered one of her other questions, because she asks us the best to do a publisher or an agent, but you basically already answered that with agent. So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like this huge argument online. I wouldn't even say it's an argument so much as a discussion of if it's better to self-publish or to get an agent to traditionally publish. And it's always about like what you can do. Like, I suck at marketing. I have my whole platform and I suck at marketing. So that's
I'm also menos with my marketing.
Yeah, like
it's not hard, but you gotta just keep being consistent with it and pushing. Because like I was just joking with a friend of mine, because I've been getting a lot of love on Facebook. Like, the People's Choice podcast has reached over 1,200 people already, and I'm only a month into it. And then I get to like, well, thank you, man. But then I get to like my Twitter or Instagram, and I'll be lucky if I get like 10 freaking likes or or clicks. I'm just like, damn. I actually put it in my story. I don't know if you've seen it, where I was like, I wish I get more all the love I get on Facebook, I get it on IG or something like. But
man.
Same with my YouTube channel, because like all my stuff goes to YouTube, Facebook. I put it on different platforms, and the YouTube, it's like, the most viewed one is my first episode with Coach Stone. I think it was at 120 last I checked. Then my other ones fall between 50 to like 40 something. But I'm like, I'm glad people are actually watching it. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But it's crazy. But I understand that, marketing, keep pushing it even when you feel down. It's rough, but continue to keep going.
I mean, yeah, for sure. So like, I was never huge on social. I wouldn't say never. Let me rephrase that. When I was really young, like middle school, and I think like maybe my first year of high school, I was on social media a lot. Then I saw how people really were, and over time, I started dwindling a lot on social media, because I was like, why is my business out there to you? Like, why would I tell you these things? But I wasn't doing anything that was worth putting it out there. Obviously, now I want my business out there for people, because what I do is my business. Mm-hmm. But all that time that I spent off of social media, I have this mindset of not to post all the time, and so trying now to post all the time. To build social media growth, is the weirdest feeling for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so not used to it. And I'm like, I get now why a bunch of people do it and like trying to build their social media platforms, but it's funny to me because of all these people who like are just building it because they want to like show their face to people is weird to me. Like I'm trying to promote my writing. It's just like you're just promoting your face, and it's beautiful, but that's such a weird concept to me. And I have some friends that are like models and things like that, and I get that. Like now, your face is literally your business, and that's awesome. Like, but yeah, it's such a different concept for me as somebody who's usually pretty. The only time that I really open up to people is through writing. And so it's such a weird time building on social media, but my Facebook, I think, is like 200 plus followers.
Awesome.
Instagram is I don't even know how many Instagram followers I have. I think that's the follower count I check the least. My Twitter is only at like 15, I think. But like
more than me, I'm at 9.
Yeah.
Twitter, I don't know. Just get no love on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a weird one because Instagram and Twitter are weird because when I post things with the hashtags and stuff like that, and I have followers on Twitter who are like people that I don't know, just random people who have decided to follow me because they found my profile and my site, and I think that's awesome. People on my Facebook and Instagram the same way, like just. I don't know if I would want to call them fans. I hope they are. I think that would be incredible. If they are, I hope they reach out to me at some point. Happy to speak to them. But it's so weird because I think of it, I'm looking at it like these people who I don't know, I've never heard of, they've only just heard of me and they're following me, and that's most of what my Twitter is. But then I have all these people when I post stuff with these hashtags that like my stuff and don't follow me, and I'm like, man, like I wish that was a follow. Like it's such a weird system on social media because you have all these people liking your stuff, and or you have people commenting sometimes, you have people sharing your stuff or retweeting it, but they're not following you, and they don't follow you, and it's just like it's so weird. I don't know how this works. I don't know how this.
I understand from the 1,200 that view my stuff. But then I'll get like, I'm trying to remember the stats from the picture, but it was like you got over 1,200 views of your post that's reached people. But then it's like 320 something from like shares and comments. Then 41 page likes. It's like, what the hell? But
yeah, man,
it's funny how social media works.
Right? Man, so what's crazy is like my most liked posts or like my most interacted with posts is when I posted the different covers, when I changed the covers for all the stories. But what's hilarious about that is all of those reactions and things like that, none of them were really there that prominently when I posted the stories for the first time. So it was like I couldn't tell if people were interested in the stories or they were interested in the artwork. And it's hard to tell through something like social media because it's like maybe they didn't interact with that post because they didn't see it. Maybe they didn't interact with the post because they didn't care for it. You don't know. I have a lot of people who tell me that they don't see a lot of the posts that I put for Ahndrian Archives when I put it up there. They don't see the post on their timeline. And I'm like, dang, that sucks. Like, if you are interested, I would love for you to see. I have really thick eyebrows, but sorry, I just looking at it like, wow. But no, like if you see the post, I'm like, I will hope you're like interested in it. But like if you're not seeing the post, like there's nothing I can do about that at all, other than the fact that you just straight up didn't see it. So it's such a weird platform because I have people all the time tell me that they posted something, and I'm like, did you? Because I never came across my timeline, and it's like that's just how social media works. Like you don't see everything.
That's true. And now this is the last question I got here from Kiki. She said, would you recommend to writers to copyright their stuff before they send it to a publisher?
Anything that you post online becomes your intellectual property. So yes, you can copyright it, but definitely if you're querying an agent, you don't need to just go and like outright copy it. It is your intellectual property. When you write it on your computer, it is date marked. From every edit to when you created it and everything like that. If you ever send an email, that email is date marked. You can see when you sent it. If you post it on a public forum or anything like that, once again, it's date marked. A lot of the public forums will give you options to copyright your stuff when you post it there. But anything you post online becomes your intellectual property as the original poster. So you don't have to worry as much. The biggest thing about copywriting, especially with writing, is if someone uses it for monetary gain to get that money yourself, it needs to be copyrighted in a sense. So when you're querying agents and they're going to send it to a publisher, what you're actually sharing with that publisher is just publishing rights. They don't own your story specifically. They own the right to publish your story. Like that's what they're getting from you, is they're buying the right to publish your story. Essentially, you're like renting it from you so that they can publish your story and they get a piece of the profit, because they'll send you, traditional publishing, they'll send you in advance. And then what they'll do is when they publish it, depending on, it's usually, especially if they send you like a bigger advance, that's when they'll send you, they'll do the most like marketing and stuff like that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what they do is they send you that advance, and then when they're selling the copies, you won't make anything extra until you have matched that advance, and then you start exceeding it for US sales. Once it comes to international sales, it's a whole different thing, whole different people that speak to. But copywriting your stuff is not going to be as big unless you are developing a brand. So like the Ahndrian Archives for me is copyrighted because that is a brand. It is not just the title of a story. The Ahndrian Archives is my brand. It's what I do for me. So that is something that I make sure that I have the copyright on for almost everything. My short story book has a copyright notice on it. My website has a copyright notice. Stuff I post on Wattpad has a copyright notice. So definitely just make sure you protect yourself. I mean, in any way you feel like if you feel like you need to copyright it, don't tell yourself you don't need to. Just make sure when you're doing business, you are aware of these things.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And thank you for, definitely painting that picture, because, like I said, people only see the pretty stuff, they see the finished work, but they don't really see the behind the scenes things from, you broke it down from publishing to agent, copywriting to, you don't really need to go down that route if you don't want to, but to protect yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I appreciate you, man. That's awesome.
These are all things like I just had to do a ton of research for a lot of it. But I also did courses. LinkedIn Learning's got some really good courses for publishing, traditional or self-publishing. And it's incredible for sure to just really go in there and see what people have to offer you. People will teach you if you let them. And that's a big part of writing, is that you're constantly going to be learning. Don't ever try to tell yourself you know everything, whether you're super good at grammar and spelling or whatever. Like, never tell yourself. I just learned some new grammar stuff, and like I've been excelling in English for years. I'm a writer, and like this is what I do, and I just learned some new grammar stuff like last week. So like, never tell yourself that you've learned everything, because you don't know what you don't know. And that sounds crazy, but like, if you had never heard of Bangladesh and somebody was like, yo, have you ever been to Bangladesh? And you were like, That's not a real place. You didn't know what that place was, but it's a real place. And so when somebody tells you about it, you don't know what you don't know. Like that was a really stupid analogy, but like it kind of makes sense. So it's just a big thing about it, especially with writing. It's constant learning, it's constant rewriting, it's constant development. I have about 24 parts of Haos Academy up there. Online on my website on Wattpad. I've been posting I started Haos Academy like 3 years ago. And I've had so many huge breaks, and every time that I've taken a break, it was because I was learning something, and I came back to Haos Academy and I improved it. I first started posting it on Tumblr. That was the thing. I had a Tumblr page and I was posting all the pieces on Tumblr.
We're going back
and
now.
I was like, this is inefficient and the layout's terrible for me to be doing this. So I switched to Wattpad exclusively. And then eventually I was like, I want to build my own platform. I'm building this thing called the Ahndrian Archives. So then I went to get I had my own website. And then the URL for that website was absolutely atrocious. So I got another URL. Like, I've bounced in so many different places. Mm-hmm. And each time I did, Haos Academy has undergone changes. Haos Academy underwent changes last week. I didn't change platforms again, but I went back and I started editing again, making sure that the parts that I already had out, I found grammar errors, spelling errors. Mm-hmm. And I've gone over these things like 6 times, and it's gonna happen. Don't let it discourage you. Don't let it hold you back. It's gonna happen. And it's gonna happen again and again and again and again, like Mr. Krabs in that episode of SpongeBob, and the next day and the next day and the next day. It's gonna happen. You just have to keep at it. It sucks. It sucks a lot. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, I hope nobody saw that spelling error. Like, that was stupid. Like, that was dumb. I got the wrong 2 in the sentence. That's horrible. It's 2, 2, and 2. So
I've been there, man. Because like, I always try to do my promotion just like at least 4 days in advance before the episode airs. And normally it's either my sister or someone would hit me up, be like the last episode I did with Zeus, where I was like, it's an honor to to interview him, but originally I put it's a horror to introduce him. So like my sister was like, hey, you better fix that, and it was already up there for like a day, and I'm like, ah, crap. I had to go back.
I hope Zeus didn't see that.
Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Zeus for doing that episode again. And but little things too. Even the one I like when I promoted this episode, I used like, I think I was supposed to put like, but I put like, I forgot the I for whatever reason. So it was just like, like it's crazy. I had to go back and I'm like, so I could definitely relate to that. All my viewers, I hope you guys can relate to that. Just keep going. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes, but keep going.
Absolutely.
Bro.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Dude, that's for sure.
And thank you for actually, like telling me, you're keeping up and you're watching. I'm definitely going to be keeping up. I want to finish the conversation with Grim. I want to get your book. So definitely, you gained a new fan, and me, I hope I gained a new fan, and you hope my people, all my peeps out there, check my bro out, man. Do you want to plug all your, your website, Facebook, anything, so people could find you?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, wow, it's so hard to talk about myself now for some reason. Gone through so long in this recording, and all of a sudden I'm like, but no, definitely most of my social media tags are Ahndrian Archives. Facebook, you can find me at Ahndrian Archives, or you can usually type in Stories of the Ahndri. That was the name that I was going by at first, before I realized that was really long and a mouthful to say. Twitter, Ahndrian Archive. because it didn't fit the S in the URL, but I think you can still type in Ahndrian Archives in the search bar and find it. AhndrianArchives.com is my website. All my social media links are also on there. You can find it on the homepage or in the About the Author. All the social media links are there. Also, that's usually for my Facebook. I don't know if I post those links pretty much anywhere else. But yeah, also just if there's any creative watching this, Kiki, you want to be a writer, if you want to email me, message me, anything. But just any creatives, artists, people who write poetry, anybody who wants to be a part of this thing that I've going on. Yeah, anyone who feels like they want to be a part of this thing, and it's a big part of a big part of it being Every Life is a Story is like it's natural representation. No one's left out. It's nothing hateful. It's not forced representation like J.K. Rowling out of nowhere saying that Dumbledore was gay. Not any kind of forced it's all natural representation. We write real life with fantasy. Message me, email me, add me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I want to work with more people. I want to build this platform, and I want to have short film writers, screenplay writers, full feature length or short film, web series, webtoons, manga, comic books, other poetry, short stories, novels, whatever you do, please message me, let me know if you want to do something. Artists, for sure. Artists are a huge part of what I would love to do. So message me, let me know for sure. I would love to work with a lot of people. So yeah, that's it.
Jack of all trades, man. And thank you again for taking the time to be with me, reaching my peeps, man. I wish you nothing but much love, success. I know you're going to go far, man. So I'm just glad that the People's Choice could call it first. Remember this day.
The first interview, man.
Hey, I'm proud that I gave you that first one, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. No, I'm super excited. I love your platform. I love what you do, man. I love the conversation you have, the way you have this open forum. So keep it up, man. I think you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Much love, much success, brother. You take care, man.